DashFight. If you guys don't know them, they cover a lot of fighting game events. They also do a lot of fighting game content, fighting game analytics, and stuff like that. But they actually have a fighting game awards that's taking place actually on my birthday this year, which is going to be December 30th of this month. Of course, it's this month because I said December 30th. But anyway, they have like at least three categories that we want to try to go over. We're gonna get a minimum of two. They have fighting game of the year, best ongoing game of the year, and most anticipated upcoming fighting game. So we're gonna try to start it off one at a time. So everybody can, gather the information and not try to remember all these games all at one time. But so they have Fighting Game of the Year is one of the categories, and the nominees are Multiverses, King of Fighters 15, DNF Duel, JoJo Bizarre Adventure All Star, All Star Battle R. Then you got Phantom Breaker Omnia, which that game came with. But anyway, which game do y'all think? That's no shade. I love
Phantom Breaker.
my bad. But which game do y'all do y'all think out of those is the one that's gonna make it? I shouldn't have said that. My bad, Phantom Breaker. Salute.
I'm gonna say King of Fighters 15 just because the game was actually really solid. It was actually a pleasant surprise. The game was pretty good. I think as an overall package, like people enjoy the game. People that the diehard fans love it. The game is dope to watch, be played. At first, I thought the game wasn't gonna have any style or flair like with combos, but they proved that there's definitely some flair and some TODs in this game. I want to say my personal would be DNF Duel, but the only reason I probably would say it wouldn't win overall is just because of how people were saying the game was dead. But now it's gotten a patch, so I don't know if that would change things. I do, like I said, that's my personal pick because the game looks awesome. Like the visuals are outstanding. The game is fun. Like it's a new IP. The fact that they took a MMO side scroller game and just put these characters with dope characters and made a fighting game, which is dope. I mean, their moves, their attacks, the game is really fun to play. And it's outlandish kind of. It's very like over the top. I mean, you get killed in like one hit. You can, but the game is really fun. But I think it's gonna be 15 just because I think overall it's probably just the most solid package. And I really hadn't heard anybody say like the game is dead. I mean, multiverses, we already really kind of talked about that. I mean, it's multiverses, and I just don't see that. JoJo's is kind of unfortunate. It's actually a really good game, but again, it's like super old. Now, if there was a new JoJo fighting game, which I wish we could get, like an actual legit new fighting game, or at least, or maybe even a remake of the original fighting game.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really dope. And Phantom Breaker Omnia, I hadn't even played it. But from what I've seen footage of it, and I mean, it's kind of, I ain't gonna say a throwaway game. I'm not gonna say throwaway game, but it's definitely like a side fighter. It's not. I don't think this will be something that's like. It's definitely not gonna win a game, the fight game of the year. I guess just say that. If anybody played the game and likes it, it could be a good game. I haven't personally played. It could be a good game, but it would be hard pressed for this game to make fighting game of the year. So, yeah, I must have to say, King of Fighters.
All right, it's on you. Let's try to run through this so we can get through all of them.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with Mr. Game and Lift. I would definitely say King of Fighter 15. Now, granted, if I put the game that I wanted to put, if I was I wouldn't say I would say being dishonest with myself about it, I would probably put DNF Duel. I think like DNF Duel, it's a cool game now, like especially right now, but up until like that patch that they did, DNF Duel wasn't really getting a whole lot of attention. Like a lot of people, a few people, especially if like you're on Reddit, like considered the game to be a dead game. Like they were pretty sure that the game wasn't going. We were like a lot of people were certain, 100% certain that nothing else was going to come out for this game, and that hot fix quote unquote patch that they did like a while ago was like, it was almost like a slap in the face because
Took a
people were.
while.
What'd you say?
Said it took a while. That's why most people like kind of was upset because it took so long for them to address a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but that first patch didn't address hardly anything. Like it was like almost like, why'd you even do this? Like technically speaking, you could have done nothing and then just rolled it into this patch, and you would have gotten the exact same effect because nobody cared when it dropped. Nobody cared. I liked the game. I didn't care. I was like, oh boy, well let's check out these patch notes. What is this?
Yeah, those patch notes was pathetic. I don't know what they were thinking with that.
Yeah, to me, honestly, I feel like they weren't thinking. They just weren't thinking.
Yeah, that might be it.
A lot of people were kind of like saying like, oh man, DNF Duel is basically a way to attract people who play fighting games to the MMO to get them to play. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to happen, guys. Like, I mean, don't you think you have to make the game that you want to attract them with good before you start, you know what I mean? Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Like, make sure this game is good enough to like spark people's curiosity. Like, otherwise they're just going to be like, well, DNF sucks. And what? There's an MMO that probably sucks too. You know what I mean? Like, why would like? I mean, I wouldn't be mad if somebody thought that. It was like, oh, that's probably trash too because this game is trash. So yeah, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like DNF Duel in general, like I would have liked for it to be like the game of the year, but it's not. King of Fighter 15 was hype. Like the thing about King of Fighter 15 is that they really let people know what was going on, like not exactly step by step, but every once in a while, like between like when the game was first announced and like the game actual release, they were always giving us like little morsels to nibble on, like trailers, explanations of game mechanics and stuff like that, basic intros and stuff like that, just letting people know who's in the game. Like that keeps people's interest up. If you just like, all right, man, here's the game, and you just expected like, all right, there it is, man, buy it. Like Phantom Breaker, does anybody in this room right now know it? Like, all right, name 5 of the characters from Phantom Breaker Omni.
That one girl with the pink hair, that other person with the blue hair, and those 3 other people that wear like school outfits.
Exactly.
Billy, Jeanette, Sarah.
I can see in his glasses. He Googled it.
George and Lisa.
Are those all characters I
You
would
can
know?
see in his glasses. He Googled it. So
I
he
just made up. I mean, obviously those not names. Those are some very stock names, and those don't look stock at all. So.
The funny thing is, like, I would have believed you. I'd have been like, oh, okay, those are the names. All right, because I didn't play the game. I don't know anything about any of the characters that they have in that game. I know nothing, and it's not like
it just kind of suffered from when it was announced. It was during COVID, and anything that was announced during COVID that was like, what's the net code?
Yeah.
And they had been already doing this before they announced it, so they was kind of like, well, it's not rollback, but and everybody was just like, but nothing, we don't care.
Yeah, but basically, if your game came out and it didn't have rollback, your game might as well have had COVID. Like that's how averse people were to buying it. Like they might as well just be like, okay, if you buy this game, it's going to give you COVID because nobody wanted to touch it if it came out and it didn't have like rollback netcode. Man, get away from me! I don't know. It's like that's COVID. That's like COVID netcode.
You've done enough. We have to move on to the next category.
Oh, my bad. All right, my King of Fighter 15.
But yeah, we go. I want to try to move through these next 2 quicker because I'm trying to put this all into one video. But yeah, just to go with y'all, I think it would be. I mean, if I had to say, it'd be KOF 15. I mean, it's hype. The only thing bad I can say about the game is it's long. I mean, when you watch matches, they're long.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, 3v3s, what you expect? And I mean, if we're being honest, we know the true best fighting games of the year wasn't nominated. It'd be for one, the Xbox counts Deer Simulator as a fighting game, and what was the next one that I wanted to say? It would be
Tetris.
Simulator.
I, I forgot it. I'm not gonna sit and waste no time trying to remember it. But so next we have best ongoing game of the year. So the ones that have continued on through this year that have really kept the scene going. We got Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, Brawlhalla, no, Dragon Ball Fighters, and Get to Get Strive. So which one do you guys think? Starting with you, Mr. Gamer.
So man, this is actually a pretty stacked list. Um, I ain't gonna lie, Brawlhalla been putting in numbers. Brawlhalla's a game that came in and people was like, "Oh, this game gonna be gone tomorrow," and it's been here ever since, and it's doing numbers. It's I'm talking about guest characters. You got WWE characters in the game with skins. You got Hellboy. You got Ninja Turtles, Street Fighters in the game, Rayman, Assassin's Creed, you name it. The Walking Dead. I mean, it's getting support. Like it's getting support. And people playing the game. Street Fighter Five, although it's the one that I fell off with, it actually managed to keep a lot of steam in its engine as the game went on. Like the final championship edition. What was the last edition called? I forgot what that edition was called. Um, but yeah, that was. I mean, it managed.
Championship Edition. You talking about
Thought
Street
I
Fighter
thought it
5?
was. Yeah, I thought it was something else like Ultra. I don't know why I'm thinking it was Ultra, or I might be thinking about Street Fighter
Because they
4.
eventually add Ultra to everything.
But I think looking at this list, Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball, I think all these
No.
are I think all these are solid ongoing fighting games. But if I had to pick one just out of what I've seen and just how the game really like um solidified itself as a presence, is this like as opposed to previous entries, I'm how to go with Tekken 7.
Oh,
That's my pick. Tekken
wow.
7. Tekken 7, I mean, it's one of the best Tekkens. Definitely like the most long life Tekken. So Tekken 7.
Good. Could you run down the list of games again, please, Mr. Erexon?
Yes, sir, I could. It was Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, Brawlhalla, Dragon Ball Fighters, and Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah, I would have to say it's between Brawlhalla and Tekken 7. Probably like Brawlhalla is one of those games that's been the unfortunate thing about Brawlhalla is that it doesn't get as much attention as it probably deserves because that is a game that is constantly adding content. Like Mr. Game and Lift said, like they had like characters from like The Walking Dead, they had characters from like Kung Fu Panda and stuff in there, like all these like
Avatar.
yeah, like it's kind of wild. Like if you think like all of these like crossovers, not even from like video games, just from like general media. Like they just pull it from anywhere. They don't care. Um, I always thought was really cool. I actually it's funnily, I actually know like a couple of the people that developed that game, and yeah, they're they're group of hardworking individuals. Like they really they really care about like putting out a quality product. So
So
yeah,
basically, he just say he has a biased
well,
interest.
the thing about it is because like I actually bought like the legendary like founders edition for that game, and yeah, it's a fun game. Like the mechanics are cool. Uh, it's just for me personally. Like if I had to choose which game I felt like really uh really really continued support, like I don't know, I would have to say Brawlhalla. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Tekken 7 is great. Like it's like Mr. Game and Live said, it's like probably like one of the best Tekkens, barring a few mechanics. But for the most part, it's pretty much like one of the best Tekken. But Brawlhalla has been like consistently like most of the time you don't have to ask if there's going to be something added to Brawlhalla because there almost always is. Like it's like, oh, is there something else coming out? They're like, why are you even asking that question? Like It's there. Like I would say that is the because like after I'll put it this way, after Tekken 8 comes out, we'll probably still be getting stuff from Brawlhalla. We'll probably still be getting characters in Brawlhalla because there's like the sky's the limit, man. Like there's really no cap on who they can put in the game. Like, you know, I always thought like Brawlhalla definitely has that like long-term support. I feel like Guilty Gear Strive, if I can talk about like the fact that Guilty Gear Strive was on the list for game of like the best fighting game. Like I've said and stated before, that game's not even the best Guilty Gear, so I don't know why I would put that as the best game. But
Wow.
no, I say it with my chest, bro, like 100%. Like that is
Yeah, I respect it.
is like it's a good game in its own right. I'll put it that way. It's a good game in its own right. But in terms of like how it compares with other Guilty Gear games, nah, man.
Yeah, Evan kind of been strong since he came out. Like, hey, this ain't the best Guilty Gear. It's probably one of the worst.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you didn't count like Iska and maybe Judgment, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I would say like Brawlhalla final answer.
Well, you know your boy Foghorn Leghorn is gonna keep it a buck with y'all, like the old school McDonald's dollar menu. Uh, I don't know too much about Brawlhalla. Basically, like I said, I know nothing about Brawlhalla, so I can't say that. Dragon Ball Fighters, I'd say that game and its fan base right now is kind of at the, you know, that meme where it's like a skeleton at the bottom of the ocean, and people always use it for like a dead game. I think Dragon Ball Fighters is down there because basically everybody is like, look, until this game get like rolled back, it ain't nothing to talk about. So, and I think that probably won't come until until they make a PS5 version of it with rollback. So what's left for me is KOF and Guilty Gear. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say Street Fighter because kind of it got to a point to where everybody's basically like Street Fighter did get good at the end of its cycle. What we're at now is probably it's the best version of the game, but people are tired of it. You saw when 6 came out, basically how everybody was tired of it. So then we're left with KOF, Guilty Gear, and Tekken. KOF to me is a fun game to watch. It's great, but it's the least exciting out of the two. Then we got Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive and came. It was the greatest breath of fresh air for the FGC when we were in COVID. It was amazing. I mean, we saw people like Leffen come in and start playing the game. You know, when he was mostly known for like you know, Smash Brothers, but he came into like more of the fighting game centric games. He was at Evo. It was hype at Evo and all that other stuff. But if I have to give the game that kept the hype going like throughout this year, Tekken. Anybody who watches a Tekken tournament, I mean, knows the hype is there when you play Tekken. It's some of the hypest tournaments that you'll watch. When you was at Evo, Tekken was the hypest tournament that was being played. Period. Like, not saying no anybody else was trash, but the crowd got hype. It was on the edge of their seats, about to run through the screen when Tekken was being played. You know, they have their phrase. It's some good blank word Tekken for a reason. You know, people really love Tekken. So, and then when Tekken 8 was shown, everybody basically like soiled themselves in happiness. So, so
At
I'm
first,
gonna give it to Tekken 7. Like Tekken 7 is the best ongoing game of the year. Like I'm gonna keep it real. Tekken 7 keeps the hype going. You know, even when it was like COVID and every game was being looked at like, look, if you don't add netcode, we gonna stop playing your stuff. Tekken 7, they had their little bit where Harada came out, was like, what you mean? The game already got rolled back. But you know, core Tekken fans, they kept on playing it. They pushed through, you know, the bad, you know, online matches and stuff. They, you know, that was the game that you heard the less complaining about. You heard more complaining from Dragon Ball Fighters, Street Fighter 5, Tekken 8. They just was like, look, we just go keep playing some Tekken. So I give it to Tekken 7. So the The next category we have is most anticipated upcoming games. So we got Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, Project L probably ain't coming until 2020 55. Next NRS game and the new Fatal Fury Garo game. So that game probably ain't coming until like the cows come home. So starting with you, Mr. Gaming Left, which one are you most hyped about?
I'm gonna be honest. Off the rip, I mean, Street Fighter 6 is what I'm most hyped for. Definitely hyped for a lot of these. League of Legends is a close number two for me. Only reason it's not above Street Fighter is because I'm not too familiar with the League of Legends universe. Although that is part of what I do like about it. They're taking these characters from this mobile world and putting them into a fighting game, which I think is dope. Which I think they should do with a lot of other IPs. Um, Even something like Overwatch. I feel like Overwatch could have a really cool fighting game. All these dope characters. I just think when you have a set of dope characters and you have people that are really good at designing games, you can make something cool out of it. Like if you those dope designs from Overwatch, a lot of these people like people that's working on Project L. Like you got people like um helping with the game like Clockwork. I think Marn is helping work on Project L. You get people like that to help develop these games and make characters. You can make anything dope. Um, the new Garo game, I ain't gonna lie. And I actually think that's going. I think we might see that next year because I really don't think this is gonna be a game that they're gonna put like I don't know. I don't. Well, it could go one of two ways. This game this game could be like excuse me. This game could be like the next big thing for KOF. Like they're putting a lot of eggs into the basket, or it could be like more of a side game with like a fairly decent budget. Um, I am hyped for that. I think we might see that next year, like late next year maybe. Um, but yeah, Street Fighter 6 with me, man.
I'm gonna hold you to
That
it.
hey man, I mean it's KOF, man. I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think Garo for them was gonna be like some super crazy big budget title. I think it's gonna be like a mid level title for them. I think that's just what I think. But yeah, Street Fighter 6, man. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Still haven't played the beta. It is what it is. I mean the world tour looks dope. So yeah, Street Fighter 6, man. I can't wait to play that game, man. That's what I'm anticipated for.
You know, funnily enough, like the game that I'm looking forward to the most, um, um, is Project L. Actually, like I'm looking forward to Project L for a couple of
Sell
reasons.
out.
He said sell out. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'll be that man. Like, I don't know, man. Like it looks good. Like it looks really cool because they have like the whole like the tag out partner thing, and like I was thinking because like there's some things we don't know about the game. Like we don't know if it's like just going to be like one person controlling two people, or if they do like a thing like Street Fighter Cross Tekken where it's like two can be like 2v2, which would actually be
Mm.
like a really good way to go. I think that would because like I completely missed out on Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now, after the fact, everybody knows that Street Fighter Cross Tekken is a worthwhile game, like years later. But at the time, like a lot of people didn't showed it no love really. Like it died long before its time. And that's why we got the Street Fighter 5 that we got. But I think like Project L looks like a game that they've been taking their time with. They're I mean, of course, I think there are going to be glitches and stuff. There are going to be issues out the gate because that's just what happens when fighting games come out. Like, can you really plan for every single interaction in the game? Nah. Like, I mean, that would require extensive testing, I think. Like, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to like put that on anybody. Like that's a lot. That's a whole lot. A lot of that you just have to put it out into the world and let other people discover what's wrong with the game so you can fix it,
Yeah, I mean, if you
Um
be honest, the first 2 to 3 months of a fighting game being released is kind of like the final beta,
yeah.
and then we release a, a patch.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Like
Yeah.
it's not the finished product. Whatever we get when Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, whatever game you can think of that you're waiting for, whatever game you're waiting for, I can guarantee you it's not going to be the final. It's not going to be the best version. It's just not. It never is. It hasn't been for years. Ever since we've been. I mean, let's be 100%. Most games that came out that didn't get updates weren't like the best version of the game anyway. Like pretty much I can think of like almost every fighting game you've ever played in your life probably wasn't the best version of the game, unless like it's like Capcom and it's like the last updated like ultra omega like underscore over the fence like at the end of the rainbow, for whatever game that they're playing. So that game is going to be the best version of the game, but then you're going to have to go through like omega for the mega version. You're going to have to go through like the child pool version. You got to go through like the what's called adult swim version, and all the way up until like there's going to be like 5 or 6 different versions of that game before you get
Family
to the
Cookout edition, in the air edition.
yeah, exactly, in air edition, as Mr. Game List would say. Like there's like going to be a million different versions anyway. Like but back to Project L, I'm looking forward to Project L because, like, barring all of that, because we know it's going to have issues. There's a lot of mystique to it, I guess, and it looks like something not only it's going to be cool as a fighting game to play, but as like a fighting game you can play with your friends, like with more than 2 people. I like the idea of like playing on teams and stuff like that. I think that's really really fun, and it promotes more of like a little bit more camaraderie. I feel like having people like play on like like switching out and stuff, and I have to coordinate their attacks, their character selection, and all that. I think that would be real. That would be something really cool to I would say I can't really say introduce. I would say reintroduce into the FGC. Like that would be the kind of game that I'm looking forward to.
Well, I'd say the game that I'm looking forward to mostly is, I gotta be honest, out of all the stuff I've seen, I've been a Street Fighter fan my whole life, but I would be lying to you if I didn't see Tekken 8 and they made me, just do the happy dance when I saw it. Just made me yell out all types of noises of glee out of my face, like, like I definitely felt more hype seeing that than I did Street Fighter 6. And somebody might come for
Wow,
my
really?
Capcom card. I'm gonna be honest, man. I just gotta
Wow.
keep it real. Like the little I've seen of Tekken 8, even with all the stuff we've seen the Street Fighter 6 and stuff like that, like I'm just looking at Tekken 8 and I'm like, this stuff looks like Dylon. Um the new Fatal Fury Garo game. I'm happy to see that be revived. That's gonna be amazing. Project L. I mean, I'll be 100% honest with y'all, and I know it's just me and you guys listening to me. It's not hundreds of people on the podcast airwaves listening to me.
There
So
might
I'll
be.
be real. When Project L first got announced, it kind of like, what's a phrase I could say? It kind of like crumbled up my notebook paper when people was just like, oh man, I can't wait to play Project L. They're gonna have $1 million prize pools. That's all I need to know. Ever since then, I ain't gonna lie, I've been sobbing like, bro, what y'all selling out for money? You sellouts? Like y'all don't even know if this game gonna be good. Like, yeah, they got the Cannon Brothers on it, but y'all just gonna let Riot come up in here and just be like, well, they got money. That's all I need to know. I ain't like it too much, so Riot gonna have to prove a lot more to me. Not saying that the game is bad or nothing like that, not at all. But I'm still kind of like, what else you got, buddy? So man, when I'm looking at all this in the game that I'm most hyped for, the next NRS game. I mean, if it's just MK12, I'm like, okay, a new MK game. If it's Injustice 3, I'm like, if it's if it's a Marvel versus DC game, I'll probably be sounding the same way. But that's up in the air, so I ain't getting my hopes up. Tekken 8 is the one that I'm looking at, and I'm just like, that's the when you go to the dinner And they got everything spread out, all the different foods looking good. Tekken 8 is that macaroni that you hear somebody stirring over there that looks so moist and flavored, and you like, I want that, I want that purple stuff. We thought the same thing. Tekken 8 is the purple stuff, man. So that's what I want. So anybody else got anything to add before we move on?